right, so I'm currently on the phone with Evan, another musician that reached out about the current interview series going on. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the chance to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Evan Whitford. I am was the singer of a little Los Angeles punk group called Psycho Ward. I also played guitar and did a lot of other things for that project. And I'm now working on both solo performances and a new project called Suspended in Cobwebs.
Excellent. So I always kind of like to start in the beginning, as they say. When did you first find music, and what about it really connected with you and made you want to pursue it?
I could probably trace that down to I guess the middle school era, because that was like when, everyone kind of had I guess my entire kind of social group had kind of that's when personality started to like shift, like even before high school. I'm 18 myself, so my life's pretty young. But uh, no, so the biggest thing that got me into music was I think a lot of the old Green Day albums, because it was very like loud, and it was definitely a bit more in your face, and had a lot more attitude than like a lot of the older stuff I was listening to prior. Uh, I started on classic rock and had that whole phase of like, damn, classic rock is the only real music, Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, but once I got past that, I honestly thank those Green Day albums for like opening the door to me for whether it be punk and then even just like alternative rock, and then later on, heavy metal, and all the other very specific genres that I could go on about now.
Mm-hmm.
Very very humble beginnings, because I think what was very influential about those old Green Day albums is they were very massive sounding, but the instrumentation was pretty straightforward. You really like it's a three-person band. Billy Joe Armstrong was playing guitar and singing. He wasn't doing anything crazy singing. He just kind of was in tune with his emotions. Uh, and the guitar tones were just, monstrous. And I think that I hadn't really heard that sort of distortion before, because, they could only drive their guitars so hard back in like the 70s, which was all the older stuff I was listening to, like Queen and David Bowie and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. They only got so heavy. No, I love those. I love those artists with all my heart. But I think that was like the main turning point when I found myself like wanting to do music.
And then once you, kind of made that decision that it was something that you wanted to do, at what point did you start picking up an instrument and trying to learn that?
Course. So it was around that same time because, I was listening to all that stuff. And luckily, all those songs were really easy to learn on guitar. And I guess there was one teacher at my school that I guess left some guitars like in the principal's office, or as private schools call it, the high school. No, sorry, the middle school directors. We haven't even gotten to high school yet. But I was basically just trying to teach myself, how to play those songs, because it wasn't until high school where I was like, I think I'm ready to start making my own stuff. So I think the stuff that I originally attempted to make, wasn't very good. Uh, like the first kind of opening of I'm going to start writing music. You didn't really know you didn't know much music theory. You didn't know much about song structures. You didn't know much about like harmony and rhythm and like all these. I couldn't play to like a click track that early, but once I got a band together, which was just my friends at the beginning. I had a friend that was like a drum virtuoso. But he's a very shy guy. And then I had my best friend. play bass guitar, and he hadn't picked up bass at that point, but he had guitar lessons a few years under his belt. So transitioning to bass wasn't that horrible for him, and he's now, like, to this day, he's now like really fallen in love with the bass guitar, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. Both of us are still going at it. The drummer, from what I understand, he's not really doing much music anymore, which is a shame because he was very talented. But that first formation was like early Psycho Ward, which was my first and main project for only until like recently, till we recently kind of closed it up, just to open our horizons for collaborating with other people and writing different material. And I'm kind of in that transition period right now. It's very much fun doing that.
Okay. And then I assume you guys were out playing shows while you were together and doing the whole gigging circuit.
Oh yeah, of course. Uh, I'll say this: the gigging circuit in Los Angeles was an absolute nightmare. At least when we were first starting out, because we didn't really know exactly how to insert ourselves to a proper music scene. We didn't really know any of those people. Like the connections that uh, our drummer's dad had, because they like tried to push him around because he was like so good at drums. They tried to push him around all these venues and to meet him all these people. I remember in their home they had like a little I guess an endorsement from Bill Ward from Black Sabbath saying that like this kid was the future of drumming. So they had a lot of people backing this kid, and that sort of helped us first start gigging. I remember our first ever show was at this Halloween party in my house, which my parents threw, and we just had a bunch of people over, and we're like, you know what, let's make this our first show. So we set up in in the living room. We were not equipped. We had to. The drummer had to bring his own drum kit. We had to bring our own. They had to supply us with amps. We didn't really have good ones. And we had like a few pedals, and it wasn't. No one could hear the vocals, but it was kind of cool just having like the band just play first time at this Halloween show. It was only a cover set, but the main, I guess, kind of first show after that, at least that we can point to. Well, let me rephrase that. After that, we did this show that we got through the drummer's school, which was my school at the time, but there were a lot of issues and complications that left me not attending, I guess, like 2 months prior. And they gave us a spot at like their open house at like the winter coffee house, they called it, where they just had like all the high school bands just play at the Federal Bar, which is in like North Hollywood or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us the spot to perform at the end of that. So that was our first little thing. And then we did a few whiskey shows. By a few, I mean like two. I think it was exactly two.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing okay, because we were then doing gigs at like the Viper Room and the Rose, which is no longer there, rest its soul. And we had a few shows lined up for after that. But trying to get these shows arranged were very difficult when you're like a youngster that's just trying to like put his high school band out there.
Mm-hmm.
But valuable experience. Now I found I'm a bit more in touch with the music scene, and that's all put on for people that are just they throw shows to have their friends hang out, and I think that's a much better thing than working for some venue where you have to sell the tickets for them. I'm definitely enjoying the experience a lot more now, but once COVID happened, I remember the weekends lockdown started. We were supposed to have a show that weekend, and we had to pull out because we didn't know how serious this thing was going to be. And in the grand scheme of history, it was pretty serious. uh, the whole COVID thing,
Hmm.
but once no one was doing shows anymore, we then kind of retreated to focus on our debut EP or recordings, and it was just like 5 songs,
Hmm.
and we didn't really know what we were doing.
Well, let's back up just a quick sec there. So, you mentioned that your previous band, Cycle Ward, had eventually wrapped up, and that you're moving on to work on new
Yeah.
material. So, what is the new material that you eventually found yourself working on? Yeah.
So I guess to start, I will go into. I'll say that the old Psycho Ward material, and by old I mean like a year, a few months. I don't know. We put out our last song like last month, and what we were doing there was a lot more of like a very kind of Misfits esque sound. It was very much related to the Green Day stuff that I was inspired by. And we did like a bit of like an alternative rock thing where we were doing like walls of sound with like roaring guitars and whatnot. Uh, because I felt once we released the EP, I guess my reflection on the production of that was that it was a little thinner than I had really wanted it to be. Uh, so then our stuff was a bit just crazy off the wall layers after
Hmm.
that. And like, so I guess my new material, it's it's really hard to pitch to people because it's every song is different. Uh, and I think that's sort of the goal that I want to kind of pursue. I'm very in love when artists try to conquer a bunch of different styles
Hmm.
with in like a single album or their career or uh a lot of my favorite albums have like distinct style changes track to track,
Hmm.
and that's something that very much fascinates me. And I think an artist being able to pull off as much as they can out the front while still maintaining a sound that is recognizable, like to me that's a big challenge. That's the route I want to go down.
Hmm.
uh so it's a lot of fusions of things that I'm not really sure have gone together uh, in like a historical context. There's a bit of progressive rock. There's a bit of post-hardcore. There's a bit of pop punk. There's a bit of death metal. There's a bit of rap metal. There's a bit of I'm trying to incorporate like Spanish style influences. The A bit of hip hop, a bit of electronic. The horizons are endless to say the least.
Excellent. So, along those lines, you said that you're starting to put that material together. What is your trajectory? How long do you think it'll take to like get like a full release together, if that's the route that you're going to take? And then where do you want to see that get to? Are you going to do live shows or just do like digital releases?
Uh, so, to be completely honest, I have absolutely no idea how long that release is going to take because it's my first feature length album. But I remember the EP took a lot longer than I really wanted to. But I think in the in my own defense, the material is definitely very layered and takes a lot of time to really kind of put together. It's very much I do want to take quality over quantity, or consistency of release. Because I was thinking, like, do I rush to put out a first single to establish ourselves and then work on the album, or take the full album sweet time and make sure it's like perfect, or as best to perfect as we can get it to.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think the latter is going to be the better decision down the road. So I'm definitely going pretty ambitious because I do want to make an impact on people. Whether they love it or they hate it, as long as someone loves it, as long as it clicks with someone, I'm doing something. I also think it's kind of important to like kind of stir up controversy in your music because there's so many artists that do fall under what people are expecting, and they don't really do much. if my main goal is to basically catch someone off guard, and because I definitely set up an expectation with the psych award material, and I'm hoping that this will be like a full 180 on that, where it just will make people feel something of whether it be, you know, the weirdness, disturbed, confused, why. Uh, but of course, I want to make something work out of it. I don't want to my music to be shock value uh, over, I guess, how out there it is.
Hmm.
Uh, but I also don't know how out there it's going to be because the album's still in progress. But if the songs that I am developing have, if I can imagine where they are at the end of it, it's I'm imagining it's going to go something like that, or at least I hope it will. Uh,
So you mentioned that you're kind of looking at doing something that's very genre spanning. Are you thinking more about live performances, doing something a bit more theatrical to fit that motif, or would it
oh,
purely just
absolutely.
be the musicality?
Oh, absolutely. I do want to go down that live route, path, because they both complement each other. Uh, right now I'm working on finding members or musicians that can perform this material with me. Because I definitely see myself writing most of it and then just kind of giving it to people. It's like that's what you're gonna play. It's a bit less of a collaborative effort, but also, as much contribution, I'll be thankful. I've just taught myself to do it all myself, to try to get the sound across. So I absolutely want to, kind of expand into that live territory. Uh, so I'm hoping a few months down the road there will be performances. In the meantime, I've been uh, working on just performing the old Psych Award songs just by
Hmm.
myself, so I don't have to worry about other people's schedules or whatnot. And that also uh, helps just kind of develop an audience for what we did make and what's next to come. And that's very exciting too, because I haven't, no one really performed much in like a year and a half. But finally getting back out there into doing all that, it's been a blast. Yeah, very optimistic for the future.
All right. And then, so what are some of your favorite memories that you have surrounding music, whether it be, recording a song or, working with other musicians? Just some prominent memories that stand out to you.
Um, huh. There's a lot of routes I can go down. There's definitely been some wonderful concerts I've been to. And if a concert can inspire you to be like, this is what you want to be, that's the best experience you can have. So like a few of those shows were like the My Chemical Romance reunion show from like December 2019, like pre-pandemic. Uh, Iron Maiden, I guess also Green Day. What other shows? Uh, those are a good few. Uh, I remember. Well, I'll say this: I think the best memories are the ones that don't go very perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But they at least may remain the most interesting. So it can be anything from. Uh, there were some interesting memories when we were first. I guess after our EP release and we started to work in a much nicer studio, and like that was very lovely. Just seeing the giant consoles and it's like this is how it's supposed to be. Uh, and I remember the first time we were trying to record bass for our song Grilled Cheese, and like we had to we had a cable missing that wouldn't connect one of the amps. And, we spent like an hour just setting up the pedal board and dialing it in. We went through two amplifiers and a DI on that, on that release, just for the bass tone. And So we had, one little stack, another little stack. One of the stacks didn't have a speaker cable, and we had to send someone to go fetch that speaker cable from like a Guitar Center, just so we had it and we can get it done. I remember we had to rent a Mesa Boogie cabinet because we only had one bass cabinet and we couldn't run the two bass stacks. Uh, but it was it's definitely the little things like that.
Sure,
I will
sure.
say, if anything, the most recent solo acoustic show I did, uh, where I played basically a mix of covers and the Psych Award songs. But that was a very good crowd of people where we got to talk after just about music. I think we talked about NFTs. We talked about everything, and I remember one of my friends was just like constantly reciting the Psych Award lyrics. And I was just like, holy crap, this is the first time that's ever happened. And it's totally a weird feeling when someone like recites the music back to you. And that's totally what I want to achieve within my career. But the first time it happens, it's so weird. Especially when you're like in the car and they're like, "Can we play Psycho Ward?" And it's like, "Yeah, go for it." And I'm just sort of there. It's like they're singing along. It's like, huh. Very,
Excellent.
very funny experience.
So, where can people check out the Psycho Ward stuff?
Anywhere we made sure it's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Bandcamp, SoundCloud. I will. I always do want to tell people that Bandcamp is the best option because you can buy it afterwards. And we didn't really do a merch run. We did try to get a merch run done, but we didn't really know how many people would be buying this stuff. So, but it's okay. We're still young.
Hmm.
Uh, I think once the Suspended Cobwebs album is done, I'll definitely try for a very ambitious release. I do want to get a music video done. I do want, the best mastering we possibly can. And I do want, like, I guess, stage theatrics and gimmicks and the good kind of gimmick.
Hmm. Hmm. Definitely. So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to throw out their last word at the end of the interview. So basically, just a message that you feel you resonate with.
There's a few. I don't know. I'll tell you this: if you want to get something done, you got to do it. You got to be very, very, very motivated to just get stuff done. And that can apply to many things. That can apply to an artist. It can apply to the political world. It can apply to the social world. Uh, you know, I guess really just go full force on anything you can. Uh, the more pure your output is, the more impressive it's going to be. The more unique it's going to be. The more there's going to be to talk about. If that was a very inconcise message, I apologize. But if that in any way connects to you, you have my blessing.